Welcome to the Unpressed Podcast, our weekly virtual cocktail hour between two old friends on opposite coasts. I'm Jenny, a single mom living in Silicon Valley in the land of tech bros, venture capital, and questionable wellness trends.
And I'm Talbot, gay, married, living on the East Coast, dividing my time between New York chaos and Palm Beach drama.
We've survived marriages, divorces, bad highlights, worse decisions, and somehow we're still laughing.
Mostly to keep from crying. So every week we pour a drink and unpack whatever life, love, or our aging bodies have thrown at us lately.
No filters, no pretending to have it all together.
Just two friends, a little too honest and completely unpressed. All right. Hey, Jenny, how are you?
Hi, Talbot.
It is snowing cats and dogs. I guess it doesn't snow cats and dogs, but what does it do instead of snowing cats and dogs?
Frozen cats and dogs.
Frozen cats and dogs. We've got about a good 12 inches, if you can call 12 inches good.
Is that about this much?
Wow, you've been lied to your entire life.
Oh man, this kombucha really is
It's really kicked in, huh?
fermented.
That's very good. And it's not even 5 o'clock my time. I am,
No.
we're doing since it's Lent, we're doing a no drinking on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday nights.
So you couldn't do the every night.
Can't do every night, no.
You didn't want to sacrifice that much for the Lord.
No. He'll appreciate that we took 4 days off.
Yeah. That is really funny. It is beautiful and sunny here. It's been absolutely gorgeous, but we have more rain coming.
Oh, okay.
So.
Well, we're headed down to Florida in 2 days, and it's supposed to be cool, but it'll be warmer than this.
Yeah,
So,
better than New York. Yeah.
so you were telling me about this thing you read. What was it? Tell me again.
Yeah, I actually heard it.
Heard
It's,
it.
Yeah, I heard it on a podcast.
You were listening to somebody else's podcast?
Yeah, I know.
Isn't that cheating?
I was, I think it was Glennon Doyle, and they were having a conversation about different styles of how you get your needs met and how you find happiness and meaning. And she presented a metaphor which had to do with a boat. So you're on
Like a big boat, like a yacht or a rowboat?
No, just like a little fishing boat, I guess.
Like a skiff? Okay, all right, okay.
So you're on a boat, and when you need to find more happiness or fulfillment or adventure, do you move your boat every time you're looking for something? Do you move it to a new place? And I guess that could mean a new geography, a new job, a new boyfriend, a new diet, a new vacation, right? Are you moving? Or are you a scuba diver and you go underneath the water below your boat doesn't move, but you find depth and fulfillment and adventure right where you are.
Huh. That's an interesting
So
concept.
I've been thinking about this for a couple of days.
Okay. All right. So are you a mover or are you a diver?
I think I'm a mover. I'm not entirely sure, but I think I have this very strong drive for more. Like more excitement, more energy, more vacations, like more knowledge, new careers, more friends. Like I think I have this sort of like movement energy, and I'm wondering then, like, what's enough and what is driving it? Is driving it innocent? Like, oh, I just want more excitement? Or is it a fear of getting stuck? Like, well, if I'm not always moving, then I stagnate. And what happens when you stagnate? Do you die? Do you get bored? Like, what exactly makes me not want to just keep my boat in one place and explore that place?
Got it. Well, I think it's interesting because I think there must be times where life is going to require you to move your boat. So I guess the question is, are you moving it out of sort of a impulsive sense for change, or are you moving it because life is asking you to try something new?
Well, sometimes a big storm comes and it moves your boat.
Okay, well, that's the third thing. That's the third piece of the metaphor. A tsunami. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and I've had one of those.
yeah,
And
yeah,
boy, it takes a long time to resettle once your
yeah.
boat's been flipped upside down. What do you relate to in the metaphor?
Well, I think it's two things. One, I think probably if I'm thinking about it, I don't like to move.
Yeah.
And I think in my situation, that means there have been times where I should have gone. I should have pulled up the anchor and left. And I didn't because I was trying to convince myself that there was more there than was there. Right. Um, so sometimes I guess it's a question of where you are in your life and what the impulse or the impetus for the movement is.
I
So,
was also thinking about our Enneagram numbers, and you as a 6 is seeking security and safety. And I think you can do that by keeping your boat in one place. You could do it by scuba diving down and gathering more information to feel safe.
right. Yeah. Yeah.
You could also move your boat around to learn, what else is out there. But I would guess that that's a scarier move for you,
Yeah.
is the moving the boat around.
Definitely. Definitely. I think that's probably the case. And probably one of the things I'm trying to change is to figure out when is it time to move the boat? And when it's time, then how do you get excited about going someplace new and being able to say, all right, I'm going to leave this nice, peaceful little cove that I've lived in for a little while, and I know where the fish
Yeah.
are, and I know all that. Um, yeah, I guess it's just again, it goes back to what's driving you.
Right. Because if your metaphor is, I'm happy when I'm certain, I'm happy when everything is known and safe. Moving your boats sounds ridiculous.
Right,
It's like, why would you ever do that?
right, right. But if it comes with a sense of personal, intellectual, emotional stagnation, then that's not
Yeah.
a good thing. So I guess that's a,
Yeah.
that becomes I guess that becomes a question of how does this metaphor work for different people and at different points in their lives? Because
Yeah.
I think definitely when I was younger, sure, I was really ready to, let's go off to college, let's go do this, let's do that, let's do that, let's, try anything. Um, and
Well,
definitely as
not
I've
try
gotten older,
anything. I think
not
you were
try
doing things
anything,
that
right?
you like tradition. So you
Yeah,
went to college because that's
yeah,
what
yeah,
people did.
yeah, yeah.
You joined these Scottish societies because it's done the same way every year
Yep, yep,
for
absolutely,
millennia.
yep,
Yeah.
yeah. No, it's definitely, yeah, I'm definitely diving in deeper into the same piece of water.
Yeah. Yeah. And
um,
I'm always like, okay, I need like more adventure, more vacation, more variety. And I'm okay with that unless it becomes like, I think it can make me unhappy because it's never enough. Like, it's never enough energy. It's never enough newness. Um, I was so I'm an Enneagram 8, so we're very forward moving. We're looking for a lot of intensity. And you and I both have a 7 wing.
And remind
if
me
we
what that
want to
means?
lean on it. So the 7 is the enthusiast. So the 7 is the boat mover.
Oh, right. Right, right, right. I got it. I got it. I got it.
So and to a point where they're running from an emptiness and a sadness that they cannot face. And so they just keep changing and moving and they never stay in one place because they just won't look at sort of their deep, deep sorrow.
Yeah. Yeah, I get
So
that.
I think we, I think we both, I lean on it very heavily, obviously, because I'm, always moving, moving. Um, you could lean on yours in your own way if you wanted to have a little bit more, you know,
I
adventure.
think my challenge is that I sometimes see that as I just want to get the hell out of Dodge because I don't want to deal with this anymore. Right? Which
Yeah.
it's not a movement for the sake of experience. It's movement for the sake of escapism, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I want to take my boat and drive it into the tiniest little harbor where nobody can find
Okay.
me.
So you're going to choose a new location, but it's going to be a very safe little cove.
Right. Exactly. No,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
But for me, it's like I'm gonna leave. There's times where I really want to leave, but I want to leave from a sense of abandonment. Like I want to leave everything
Yeah.
behind.
You're running away.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And that's because I think for people like me, when your safety gets so threatened, then all you can think about is, okay, I gotta go somewhere else. Like my castle has been stormed. It's time to find a new cave where nobody can
Yeah.
find me. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. I think about like, we haven't done an adventure trip in a long time.
yeah, but I think that's probably more of a circumstantial situation because I don't think it's because none of us want to do it again. I think it's because we took our last big trips before your kids came because we had that more flexibility. And then when your kids came, that tied things up a little bit, and
Yeah.
then things shifted. I think I,
But we
I
could be doing them now.
yeah, we could
I'm,
be, and
yeah.
I would love to. I would love to go someplace where I haven't been. We've been talking about that with a few friends here, which is where should we go? Let's go to Chile. Let's go someplace where we've never been. I want to go to
Right.
Morocco. I want to go to, um, yeah. So I miss that, and I think it's just that's just because we've gotten lazy or we've just gotten into a little bit of a rut. It's not because I don't think I'm not eager
I
for it.
think, yeah, I mean, I think when I've brought it up, like one thing is Bill travels so much for work that he just wants to sit still
Yeah,
when he
yeah,
has a break.
yeah, yeah,
So then we've just
yeah,
done stuff in Florida or New
yeah.
York or something. I think I understand that. I think for people out there where they're just on the go all the time, it's nice to sort of settle in. Um,
But
yeah,
I mean, it's funny. He
yeah,
likes, yeah, he does, yeah. I mean, he likes to travel, but yeah, it's been a while since we've done something. But he's getting back around to it because we've been talking about where yeah, we're going to London again, and a couple times this spring, and which is great because we love it. But then it's why do we love it? It's because we love our restaurants and we love the things that we do. So it
yeah.
feels both foreign but incredibly, incredibly familiar. I think it's time to. Well, where would you like? Okay, so if we were going to move our boat, where would you want to move our
Yeah.
boat to?
If we're just talking about travel, I mean, I'd almost do anything I hadn't done before.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah, and take some chances. Not stay in like luxury places, like really do something off the beaten path.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, I mean, yeah, so I think we should start brainstorming ideas. I I'm looking at from my standpoint why am I always on the move? And I'm
Right.
not always on the move. I mean, I've lived in the same house for 20 years and um but I think one thing I've been trying to do is to scuba dive like right here in my hometown. So how do I find fulfillment and joy where I am? And sometimes that means finding new people, new activities, new things within the same geography. Um, but it is this idea of, can I just settle and be fulfilled without always having something changing and new? And I have been sort of trying to figure out, what is it about not having my calendar full that is threatening and scary for me? And I don't know if I've totally pinned down on it, but there is this idea that I'm worried that if I'm not in motion, then I will stagnate and I won't be vital. Like, I won't be living, or I won't be savoring life. Um, and I think you can be in one place and go deep with that set of people and that set of experiences and be very fulfilled, but it takes a quiet, like, it takes a calm. It takes sort of a meditation on being okay with the discomfort that you might be a little bored first, you know what I mean? Like, or you might feel like you're not moving. I think it might be a good discipline for me.
Yeah, I think
Like,
I believe will.
right? Like, if I'm not always striving for something, then I'm worried I'm not going to get what I want. Instead of just sitting back and letting stuff come to me, I'm worried it'll never come to me if I don't do something about it all the time.
Hmm. Interesting. Yeah, it's funny. I sometimes, particularly when you go to places like Nantucket or Palm Beach, which are so social, I sometimes get that way, which is, why isn't my social calendar as full as it should be? Um, and then that's the time where I have to take a step back and say, well, wait a second. Does that really matter? And sometimes my social calendar is not so full because I haven't done anything to reach out to anybody, right? so, um, so sometimes you have to say, what is it that you really want? Because I think sometimes I want to be more social than I actually want to be, because
Interesting.
I'll get someplace and be like, I'm ready to go home. Um, but for me, it's
What do you
almost,
think that's about? Like, thinking that you should be more social than maybe you actually want to be?
I think it's a part of feeling like you're part of the crowd, part of the,
Yeah. That you're
part of,
wanted?
yeah, yeah, yeah. I think it's probably,
Yeah.
I'm sure that's what it is. Used to be, I would get really upset if people weren't asking me to play tennis on a regular basis. And I thought, well, that's so stupid, because I have the power to invite people to play tennis. So why am
Yeah.
I waiting? Right. Um, and so this past summer, for example, I organized a whole, tennis thing. And the great thing about it was, then I wasn't sitting there saying, well, why isn't anybody calling me? I was organizing the games, and I was playing as much as I wanted to, or as little as I wanted to. And it didn't feel, you just realize when you're on the side organizing it, that you're not going through this huge laundry list of why you're including people or not including people.
You
Um,
don't mean to miss people.
no,
You just, yeah.
it's just a factor of scheduling, and it's whoever you
Mhm.
happen to see or whoever you happen to talk to that day, and whoever happens to get back to you first. Because if only 5 people respond to play doubles, then somebody can't play, and it's just okay. Well, that's just the situation.
I was also thinking, Talbot, about deep diving in relationships,
But
right?
this will
So
be an
there's
interesting one.
Right? So there's the, like, do you have a lot of acquaintances versus, do you have deep, meaningful, intimate relationships within your relationships? And what does it take to create relationships that are deep?
Yeah,
And there's a new book coming out called How to Be Loved, 2 researchers, and it's a little bit about how the way we feel like we belong in the world is when we are loved properly, but the way to get loved properly is to love other people properly. And that
Absolutely.
generally means like being a good listener.
Yep. Yep.
So, like listening for understanding, not just waiting your turn to say what
Talk.
you want to say,
Right, right.
to really sort of
Wait,
understand what the other person.
what did you say? I didn't hear what you said.
Are
I
you
didn't
deeply
understand it.
listening?
I'm
Are you
deeply
deeply
listening.
listening to me?
Deeply. Yeah, I think that's true.
And they talked about it being a seesaw so that like you lift the other person up and sometimes you have to do it first and then they feel love and they feel connected and they feel heard. And it's from that source of love that they can then lift you up. It's almost like it's really hard to be a good person, like a good relationship person, if you don't feel loved. Otherwise, you feel like scared, defensive, like I'm alone in the world. Nobody really understands me. So how could I possibly go out there and support other people? Nobody is supporting me. But sometimes what you have to do is you have to go be that support first, and then you get it back.
Right. Well, I also think you have to, because I would say with my, if I looked at, let's say we have 3 tiers of friends. Say we have, or let's say we have 4 tiers. You have this broad acquaintance group, like people that you kind of know that you would talk to at a Christmas party. And then you've got a smaller group of people who, if you're going to have a dinner party for 100, you would bring in those 100 people. And then
A dinner
you've,
party for 100.
well, a party for
How
100,
big is your house?
not that big. But so you got acquaintances, and then you got that circle of like 100, and then you've got maybe a circle of like 20. These
Yeah,
are people who you travel with, you've got shared experiences with, and then you've got 4 or 5, right? The core,
right.
the real core people. And I think if I think of my people who are in that core, and I would definitely say that you are part of that, I would say the one thing that brings all of those people together is we haven't been afraid to be ourselves with one another. We
Yeah,
haven't been afraid to challenge one another. We
yeah,
haven't been afraid to get upset at each other. And we haven't been afraid to forgive each other. And I think unless you can do all of those 4 things, um, you can have a great friendship, but I think the deepest friendships are those where you can go through not only the ups and downs of the seesaws, but the side to sides and the time when you jump off the seesaw and send me flying up in the air, right? Or I guess down to the ground, right?
yeah,
Or vice versa.
yeah,
I just think
yeah,
it's, I think it's interesting. And again, I think that's why sometimes it's easier for people to move the boat than it is to go deep, because the deeper
yeah.
you go, I mean, you know, just like in scuba diving, the deeper you go, the darker it gets, the colder it can get. The more
Yes.
quickly you use up your oxygen, the more
It's
out of your comfort zone you get. But just like when you scuba dive and you get all the way to the bottom and you take a moment to listen and you take a moment to look around and you take a second to appreciate the beauty, you think, if I hadn't been able to go, put my head under the water, which is scary enough. Get out of the boat, put your head under the water, and then sink and sink and sink and sink and sink. You don't get a chance to appreciate what that beauty is. And again, um, I think that's one of those things you have to again think about. Why am I moving my boat? Am I moving my boat because I've done everything I need to do here?
yeah,
And life is asking me to, there's that great saying about sometimes you just need to repot yourself, right? You've outgrown the pot that you've been placed in.
yep, yep, yep.
So sometimes you have to move your boat because it's time. The tide has gone out and you got to move. Or life is just saying to you, hey, you're getting too comfortable. I'm going to try and shake things up and get you back to
Yeah.
a place of being curious. Um,
This is interesting because this is about, do you have deep relationships? And if not, why? Like, is it because you just haven't found the right people? Or is it because you haven't, you know, put in the kind of vulnerability and time that it takes. It might be a combination of the two. I think that deep relationships take a tremendous amount of trust, and you can't trust your inner life with just anybody,
Yeah. Correct. Correct.
right? Like for me, my dearest friends, and you are one of the few, like I can really show pretty dark parts of myself,
Yeah.
ugly parts of myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't think the other person's going to judge me. It's not like they're going to say, well, then that's wonderful. They might challenge me and say, well, maybe you want to think about that a different way. But it is the people where I can be really authentic and real. And, y- you know, you can get there faster with people if you are willing to be the first one to be vulnerable and disclose. So,
Absolutely.
for instance, that someone says, "How are you? How was your week?" And you say, "It's fine." Or you say, "It actually sucked. Like, I didn't sleep 3 nights because
I'm
my
worried about
dad's in the
this. Yeah. Right.
hospital
Right.
and I'm worried about my kid in school and, I'm having hot flashes and I don't know what to do about it." And what I find is then the other person is like, "Oh yeah, me too," or
Right.
"I went through that," or "That sucks, and
Right.
I've got this horrible thing going on." And then what comes of the vulnerability and the sharing is you realize you are not alone.
Right.
Like, other people may not be having exactly the same experience, but they're probably dealing with something shitty
Very similar.
in their lives, and it somehow makes you less sorry for yourself, and it makes you less alone. Like sometimes you just feel like you're on this island with your problems and everybody else is having a grand old time. And when you realize that everybody is going through something, especially by the time you reach midlife, everybody has gone through something hard, if not multiple hard things. It really just makes, I don't know, it's very centering and it's very comforting,
Yes. Yeah.
especially if you can sort of be open to hearing other people's suffering and not get overwhelmed by it and not try to fix it
Right.
necessarily.
Right. Yeah, we had a really interesting experience a few years back. Well, more than a few years now. There was a group of maybe 12 of us from Princeton, my class, and we decided we were all going to get together and go to Italy for our 50th birthday. Now, we obviously don't share the same birthdays, but we just picked a date. And we invited, if you had a spouse that wanted to come, you could come. So I think we had maybe 14 or 15 people. And it was an interesting cross section of people because it was a group of people. Within that group of people I knew really well, people I didn't know well, and people I barely knew, but we all had this connection. So we all had this familiarity, and everybody was interspersed together. So it was nothing was further than a 2 degree of separation of close friendships, right? And over the course of a week, we were just able to, as you said, just be authentic and just be honest. And we had some of the most incredible conversations at dinner where we just talked about how we were feeling and what is life like. And so many of those people had been through changes or relationship breakups or job losses or dealing with their parents. And we just talked about everything. Like, what were we worried about in future life? What were our thoughts about spirituality? How do we even start to plan for this next phase of our life? And we all said at the end of the week, we're like, that was such an incredible experience because we didn't put a filter on anything, right? We didn't worry about it. We just were sharing and talking because we were all there to celebrate a milestone, and we were all there because we had a shared connection, and we weren't there to try and impress anybody. And we all said, gosh, if we had been able to be that authentic when we were 18, can you imagine the kind of relationships, friendships we would have had? And then somebody said, of course, but part of the ability to be authentic is you need a certain level of self-awareness that 18-year-olds just simply don't possess.
And security. So, yeah,
And security, of course.
security. Yeah.
But to
But
your
I will
point,
say the relationships you have when you're 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, like those are deep and profound too. Like when I think
absolutely.
about my girlfriends in high school, like there's a letting go of yourself and going all in. Like just I was so close to my high school girlfriends and still am actually. Like they're still my favorite people in the world. And I think that's that enthusiasm where you're young and you think, oh, no one's ever loved somebody the way I'm loving them. Your
Right,
first romance, you're like, no
right,
one's ever had a romance
right,
like this. And
right.
then life starts going and you're striving and trying to figure things out. And I think you start to get a little shut down, as you're competing and,
Yeah,
trying to figure out who you are in the world.
well, I think particularly sort of right after college, I think that becomes really the tricky part because when you're all thrown together in college, you're all there like recreating yourselves and chasing and having fun and you're living together and you're questioning and you're thinking and you're pushing. And then you get out of college and all of a sudden, to your point, you're competing. You have to get a job. You have to get the right apartment. You have to do all of this. And there's just so much of this sense of you're constantly moving the boat then, right? You're constantly finding the right job, constantly finding where she'd live, constantly whatever. And you can't go deep. And I think what happens is that
And I
for,
think that was a terrifying time for
oh, it
me
was totally. I would
because
not want to go back.
no, my 20s were really tough because, and I'd like to go back and enjoy them, like, knowing what I know now. But, I spent a lot of my 20s trying to figure out what was my career going to be? Who was I going to marry? Was I going to get married in time to have children? Like, where was I going to live? Who am I now in relation to my parents? And there were so many unknowns. I found it very scary.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting. For somebody who likes movement, that would have been a
I
time when there
know.
was too much movement for you. You
Yeah,
wanted
I
to be
mean,
able to,
what's interesting, yes, and I wanted to move all the way to California in my 20s. So I had this sense that I wanted something really different. Um, and then once I made that decision, then I let the other things fall into place. But I think those are searching years, and I think they can be hard.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. No, I wouldn't want to go back to my 20s. I would do my mid 30s. I think mid 30s were kind of
Yeah,
until you guys all
yeah.
started having kids and then all the
I know.
fun
Then we
stopped.
wrecked it for you. I know.
You
We were
all
having a
had,
really good
oh my
time.
gosh, we were having such fun time, just like traveling, skiing,
All right,
going
but now
everywhere.
we'll start traveling with the kids. That'll be
That's
fun.
true. That's true. Yeah, but that was all right, darling. Well,
Well,
we'll
this was
talk
fun. This
soon.
was fun.
Yes.
The boat metaphor. Who
Yes.
knew?
Who knew? Maybe we need to go on a cruise. Maybe not. I'm not a big cruise person.
Small boat, small, not a big boat
Yeah.
cruise.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. All right, Jenny.
All right.
We'll talk soon.
Soon.
So if you enjoyed listening to that, please support us by subscribing to our channel and by telling everyone you possibly know. You can email us at theunpressedpodcast@gmail.com. That's all one word, the Unpressed Podcast, no spaces. You can also follow us at Instagram. Our handle is @unpressedpodcast. Thanks so much.